Okay, guys, in my last video, I think I dubbed that video the humility lesson. I thought it was only fair that I give you guys a look at the entire ride, because as I continued to ride the Apex, there were various things that I started to try and do a little differently so that I could get an all-around feel of how the Apex rides at different riding positions and at different speeds. And here, I'm realizing that, I relied a little bit too much on the rear footrest, and that's because I have a habit of using the footrest on most of my other electric, my other electric hyper scooters. And one of the things that I've learned by using the footrest on the Apex is that this machine, the dimensions of the deck being a wider deck instead of a longer deck, it calls for me to ride with my feet a little bit more flatter on the deck and closer to each other, or spread apart slightly but closer side to side. And I made a few adjustments on my ride where I rode that way with my feet off of the rear kick plate, and I had much more success with riding at a consistent speed without experiencing any wobbles whatsoever. And here, I'm just constantly filling out the progression of power as I slowly roll the throttle, and then practicing the art of slowing down without coming to an abrupt stop or an abrupt slowdown where I begin to use the regen braking without giving myself adequate time to slow down. And here I stopped to ask the motorcycle rider how, whether or not he was okay and if he needed any assistance. He didn't, so I continued on my way. But this next turn here, I'm going to notice this quick progression of power. Occasionally I did this just to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind on the insane power that these X12 controllers pumps out in comparison to other hyper scooters that I've ridden, namely just the Dualtron X2 and the E-Move Roadster, both of which I have slow start settings. And this one, it doesn't burn out from the very first touch of the throttle. It gradually increases the speed also, but the rate in which it does it and the way that those PMT tires hug the road, it makes the experience a little bit more different than riding my other hyper scooters. And here I switch my camera around so I can get a front view and just go back and take a look and see how my riding stance impacted my ability to ride at higher speeds and maintain a stable stance, without any speed wobbles or making any rider errors that created those speed wobbles. And as I get ready to turn back on the road here, I just switch my camera back around to the back and let it go up a little bit higher so I can get a fuller view of myself in my riding stance. And every time I get ready to start out, I do this. I start out the same way, and it's a habit. Once again, I take my feet and go right back to the kick plate. But as you'll see here on this stretch, I am attempting to make adjustments with my feet and try different angles. At one point, I even tried to put my back feet straight across the deck and my front feet in the middle front of the deck to see how that felt. And that didn't feel good. And so here I had readjusted myself and I took my feet off the rear kick plate and I just put them on the edge in the back and then my front feet on the edge in the front. And I noticed that I was able to maintain a consistent speed that felt relatively comfortable. But at the same time, I still didn't feel like I was at that sweet spot that would give me a full solid stance. And occasionally, while I was practicing these different stances, I would get off the road and allow cars to pass me, even though I got the power to keep up with traffic if I wanted to. I said to myself, I'm not getting out here on my hyper scooter and risking my safety and the safety of someone else while I was practicing learning how to ride this beast. So that was my reason for getting off the road. But I got back on, and on that stance that I had previously mentioned, with my feet on the edge and off the rear kick plate, it felt pretty good. It felt decent. And I was able to just stick that 40 miles per hour range and gradually work my way up and feel somewhat comfortable. And I'm not going to do a full speed test until I feel 100% comfortable, and I'm not going to try to keep up with traffic or ride in the midst of traffic a great deal until I feel 100% comfortable all the way around with my riding stance, as well as knowing how powerful this machine is and how to ride it in various terrains and conditions. One of the things that I also noticed while I was riding the Apex is that the power to weight ratio of this machine, and what I mean by that is the amount of power it puts out and how that power handles the weight of the scooter itself, is phenomenal. And what I mean by this is that there is so much power coming out of those X12 controllers, those Tronic X12 controllers, that it literally pulls this body at such a quick pace that you really have to be prepared with your stance before you can 100% feel confident that you're not going to go into a situation where you create wobbles and when you ride. So there are a lot of factors that I'm looking at, and some of the things that I'm saying I really can't explain clearly, because in order to really fully know what I'm referring to, you truly have to ride this machine and experience the X12 controllers for yourself. I haven't had a great deal of experience with a lot of different controllers, sine wave controllers specifically, but I do know that by far, compared to all the other scooters that I've ridden, only the E-Move and E-Move Roadster and the Dualtron X2 specifically, that this Apex and the power that it puts out, it's much more powerful than both of those scooters, and both of those scooters are over 100 pounds, whereas this one is only at 89 pounds, and I could literally lift it off the ground with both hands and like it's nothing. And to think that this much power is emanating from that 100.8 volt battery, and then I have two controllers that's cranking out 300 amps each. It's insane. It's an insane amount of power, and so I should suspect that it would take me a little bit of a learning curve to know how to handle that power and be safe while doing so. And here I'm kind of getting closer to the last stretches of my ride, and I'll be changing up and giving you guys a side look position as well. But here my confidence had kind of blossomed a little bit with my stance, with my feet close to the edge, but still my feet are too wide apart in the front and rear to maintain a consistent, nice balance. But yet, I was able to get a good feel of this nice flow of balance that I was able to maintain on this stretch. And as you can see, you know, this machine, it rides so quiet and so smooth that you barely even know that it's running, or you barely can hear it running at all. And those Magura brakes, man, they are like mint. But I very seldom had to use them because I was constantly using my regenerative braking, and I was mostly coming to a slowdown most of the time before I started using the regen braking. And another thing about this machine that I haven't mentioned that's worthy and noteworthy of mentioning also is the cruising ratio after you release the throttle. This thing seems like it rolls forever on those PMT tires once you release the throttle. So I constantly find myself, you know, rushing it up to close to 40 miles per hour, and then I'd come off the throttle and just allow myself to cruise at a good 25-30 miles per hour. And that felt so good to be able to know that I was actually saving battery by riding in that way. But overall, I consider my learning curve to be making some I consider myself to be making some progress when it comes to the learning curve that I realized that I would have to adapt to riding a much more powerful and lighter machine that had, you know, that has technology and the tires, etc., to also improve the riding experience as well. And you know, and here I'm just, you know, just slowing myself down after every, you know, stretch. I would slow down, process, you know, what I learned from that stretch, and then I would, you know, and then I would get back on the road and maybe try a different angle or stance to familiarize myself with how that particular one felt. And after this video was over and done, I posted it. You know, I got some good feedback from the community about my riding stance, as well as different things I can do to adjust the Apex's rock shock, so that it would also aid in helping me to have a more stable ride at higher speeds without getting wobbles. And I'm currently in the process of applying those techniques to my riding style as well. And but for now, I consider you know, this ride to be you know, one step forward in progress to have a, you know, better riding experience on the Apex. But off camera, I have been able to apply some of these techniques and push the Apex up to over 60 miles per hour effortlessly without any wobbles, and having full comfort in doing so. But it didn't happen unless I show it to you on video. So in my next video, I'll probably give you guys a nice speed run, but it won't be a max speed run. I don't believe in doing max speed runs, all out max speed runs, because generally I keep all of my PEVs at a maximum output level that is lower than its full max, in order to preserve the longevity of my PEV, because these things are expensive, and I'm not just trying to blow up my PEV while making a video just to show you guys how fast it can go. I'm not, you know, I don't make YouTube videos or social media content for views or likes or for money. You know, I do it because, you know, this is my form of therapy, as well as something that I enjoy doing, riding my hyper scooters. So I could go on and on with some more things, or maybe show you guys more footage that I haven't even posted yet. But for now, I'll just say this was a great ride, and I'll see you guys the next time.